The other question that may come to people's mind is who qualifies? What kind of requirements are there for somebody to have access to EB-5 investor visa?
There's two levels there. One of them is 800,000 investment. One of them is $1 million and 5,000, just a little over $1 million investment. There are some qualifiers on how many employees you need to make or how many people, how many jobs. Other than that, if you have the money and you've got a clean background, you qualify. And the idea is, again, to get them with the attorney so that they can start that, because it's not a simple thing. It's easier to goof up than it is to do right if you're doing it alone. You can come over on a visa, call it a visitation visa, right? That somebody just wants to come over and look around a little bit. Well, some countries, you can come over on a certain kind of visa and you can stay. You can run from A to Z until you're done. Or the ones you have to go back, wait a certain amount of time, and then come here using the correct visa, if you will. It gets complicated.
So if I understand it correctly, I know lawyers, there are immigration lawyers who are qualified to explain the EB-5, especially from immigration perspective, from law perspective. But if I understand it correctly, there are two types of route that people could take. The one which is direct investment, which requires the investor to be active. Another one could be passive, which requires investing in regional centers. There are so many regional centers around the country, like in California, here in Florida, New York, and so on and so forth. Would you mind to give us a little bit background about these two approaches in terms of getting the visa?
I'd really rather, if somebody's interested, not get into the weeds and have that more individual, because the regional, as you call it, can be different around the country and different qualifications in each one. And you hate to get too far down that first road and be in the wrong information. If you go through this country says this and this country says that, would be here forever. But the big thing is one of them's 800,000, one of them's a little over $1 million. And you need to sit down with the attorney to make sure that what you have fits within your country's treaty. It's not just that qualifier. That's why I really don't want to go too far down that road.
All right, good to know. I know this is a little bit challenging for us. We're business brokers. We're trying to help people buy a business, and we help them find the right qualified business once they finish the immigration part of the process. I'm just giving them a little bit background in terms of one of them is active, which requires them to involve in choosing the business and the property they're going to buy based on the qualification. And another one is indirect, which is passive, and so on. But you're right, they need to reach out to a lawyer based on different requirements for them to know the difference, plus which one is right for them based on their involvement and interest.
Right, and we're part of that. We'll introduce them to the attorneys, but what we have at eXp Commercial is we have boots on the ground in over 30 countries. So we have people there to speak their language and can begin that process. And then while they can, let's call it running the two trains down to two sets of tracks, at the same time, they're working on the legal part. But the first formal approval or informal approval doesn't take a lot of time. The attorney can say yay or nay, or here's what you need. That's when we start looking for the businesses for them, whether they're going to be involved or passive. And since we can sell in almost all 50 states, if they have families, friends, anybody they know that's already here, we can find something close to where they want to be in America.
Which means eXp has other brokers. I want you to expand on that one, which means we brokers. I'm in Florida, you are in Atlanta, but we have thousands of other business brokers around the world, because eXp is a global organization. Would you give us an example or two about such kind of collaboration between you and someone outside of the United States, without mentioning their names or specificities?
Sure. Now, so somebody in England or France or Trinidad Tobago decides I want to move to America, and we get that email and we hook them up. We talk to them, go through some basic questions, and we hook them up with the attorneys. Once the attorney says yes, what they're looking to accomplish, they can do. They have the financial, they have the background. Then we'll start with all of our hundreds and hundreds of business brokers and our thousands of commercial brokers start finding a business that would fit that person. I've done we've done a lot of examples and working within the treaties. Sometimes you have to get a little fancy, and there's different ways where you can actually use the qualification and borrow money using the SBA. You can actually do small business administration bank loans to help with the purchase.
Oh, you're telling me that in certain cases, especially if there is a treaty between the United States and that specific country, there is an option on top of someone investing their capital, they may get loan from SBA. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Can you give us a little bit background in terms of how it works? Like,
without
do you
getting
work
too
with?
weeds, it kind of goes like this.
Okay.
Start the process.
Yeah.
And we have a closing on a business. Depending on the treaty, they're quite not Americans yet, and they're quite not permanent residents yet. But once that closing has happened, they get their green card / residency. Again, I don't want to get too technical. And then at that point, the lenders can actually do an SBA loan. And if there's a lot of assets, they can do conventional loans because they are now legal to be in America.
All right. Awesome. That's a powerful opportunity for those foreign investors in these countries where the United States has bilateral treaties.